For me this year, there were some really defining moments for the Festival of Speed, and one of those was certainly the T80 record car. I was so thrilled when Mercedes said they were going to send it, as I saw it years and years ago in one of their warehouses in Stuttgart, all in pieces, and it was a monstrous looking thing then, but to see it all up together was absolutely memorable. And taking up 4 paddock shelters, it's certainly something we'll never forget. I think that, the weather was another absolutely defining factor this year, and also the fact that 2 of the fastest cars up the hill, well, the 2 fastest cars up the hill were electric, the Pikes Peak VW and, of course, the Neo supercar. So the fastest race car and the fastest production car were both electric, which just goes to show how things are moving on. To celebrate the 70th anniversary of Porsche the way we did, I think was special. We're all huge Porsche fans. To see the variety of cars all together here was fantastic. And to have the 917-30 parked up right outside the front door, I'm just sorry I can't get into it every morning and go to work in it, but it's one of my favourite cars ever. I've actually been lucky enough to drive it up the hill once or twice too, and it's pretty hairy round Moulcombe. But 70 years of Porsche was a huge one, and then to mix that with things like Jetpack Man, seeing him flying up and down the track, and of course Future Lab 2, where we actually had his flying suit displayed, and that was a beautiful, beautiful thing hanging there in a sort of black glass cage. It's again, I think, one of the defining moments of this year's event, and David Mayman put on a fantastic, I think, show for everyone, and people were astonished just to see how fast he flew. I think he was only doing about 60 miles an hour, Tom. I think he's capable of doing 200 miles an hour, and capable of flying for quite a long time too. So we loved having him in. We love Future Lab, much bigger this year, much more in it. Love all the stuff that Foster did with houses on Mars and all the VR stuff and the Siemens stuff and the Samsung VR experiences all going on together. I think that really came on leaps and bounds, and is going to be remain a very important feature of the festival in the future. And of course, the future in many ways is what it's all about. And I think this year really defined that. To have the T80 record car and many other great pre-war racing cars, to mix that with current F1 cars, and of course the 2 fastest cars up the hill being electric this year, really just sort of, I think, paves the way for the future and how we intend the Festival of Speed to look. It's all about the past, the present, and of course the future. We very much enjoyed celebrating Jensen's career this year's event. Jensen's been to the Festival of Speed for the last 17 years. He's probably been our most consistent F1 driver since the event began. So he's been coming since he was literally a boy with his dad. So it was great for him to come, great to see him in the lovely Honda, the RA301. And to see that coming up, parking in front of the house and Jensen jumping out was a treat. And I think he loved driving it, and it was wonderful of Honda to send the car all the way from Japan for us so that we could do that. And it was great seeing me interviewed by Mark and having Ross Brawn here to celebrate his great World Championship win. Of course, we'll hopefully be doing much more on that for the anniversary the next year. This year really was a mega year for supercars at the festival. The breadth of machinery taking part was fantastic. To see so many of the very low volume manufacturers here from all over the world was incredible. Cars I'd hardly read about, let alone seen. And to have David Brabham here with the new Brabham, that was great. To have Ital Design here launching the special edition Nissan GTR was pretty special. Toyota brought the new Supra for the moving for the very, very first time ever. Pretty special. And of course we had an Aston Martin launch, we had a McLaren launch, brand new cars. So all in all, an amazing array of supercars, and seeing them all back to back like that, not only in the paddock but also blasting up the hills, was a big one for me. Driving something at the Festival of Speed, if I possibly can, is always something I try and do. It gets more and more difficult time-wise, but I was lucky enough this year to be offered the 300 SLR by Mercedes for a quick blast, which I duly did on Saturday, and absolutely loved it. It's a fabulous car, as Jochen kept telling me, oh, it's so easy to drive. But it's not that easy. But it's certainly got lots and lots of torque and a fabulous amount of power. And it's pretty easy on the clutch things. Actually, the slightly tricky thing about it for me is that your legs are very, very, very spread apart by the transmission tunnel, and you're slightly sitting askew, so it's actually quite difficult to get enough pressure on the brake pedal. Jochen amused me by telling me that it's a very, very good car because you can push yourself, you can hold on. That means you can push out with your knees and you can hold on to the sort of sides of the car. And I said, Jochen, I'm not used to having to balance myself by holding on with my knees as I go around a corner. I'm afraid I wasn't quite so stylish, but I did get up to the top, going perhaps a little more slowly than I might. But I always say better to be careful than to look a real idiot by shunting it into the bales, which wouldn't be a good move for me, especially in that car. Anyway, it's a lovely thing, and obviously all that history. That was the Fangio car, actually, I think, so it'd actually be sitting in the same seat as Fangio, and all those great memories of Sterling in 722 as well, and how many times they were here. Sterling was here in that car, or the sister car, and of course the great moment with Jenks and Moss in 722. And of course we all miss Sterling hugely. He has been here with us so many times, but not for the last couple of years, and we wish him and Susie, of course, well, and send them lots of love. My other great moment was seeing the one and only Steve McQueen Mustang, the car from Bullitt. That great car chase, perhaps the greatest car chase of all. And I had so many people come up to me, and most of them Americans actually saying, "Gee, where is the Steve McQueen Mustang?" We go, "That's why we're here." And I think people were bowing down in front of it. They were absolutely thrilled to see it here, as was I. And of course, brilliant of Ford to bring it, and also to launch their new Mustang here too. At the same time, it was a great year for Mustangs. 2018 is a pretty special year for Goodwood. Not only is it our 25th, our silver jubilee of the Festival of Speed, it's also the 20th anniversary of the revival. And there's some great things planned. And on the Sunday, of course, we've got the TT, the most glamorous, we feel is without doubt the most glamorous, certainly the most valuable motor race in terms of machinery entered in the world. And the St Mary's Trophy also, the second half of the St Mary's Trophy that day too. We're going to have a fabulous parade of all the great winners, cars and drivers, and also a very special tribute to Rob Walker, the great racing patron who brought people like Sterling Moss to the fore in his wonderful Ferraris and Lotuses, always in those beautiful blue and white colours. So it's going to be a fantastic day Sunday. The bike race again, probably bigger and better than ever. Of all the races we have, actually, the bike race is probably more full of stars than any other race during the weekend. It's going to be a Sunday for sure, a Sunday of all Sundays, so we'll hope to see you there.